Hey, Duke here, and this is my video response and entry into ebomey and NYhalfassprepper's AR-15 giveaway, plus all the other goodies that are coming with it. So, just to make sure I get everything right, I have it written down. First question, what would I do with an AR-15? Well, that's an easy answer, is I would use it. It's not going to be any kind of safe queen. I'm going to go out and I'm going to practice with it. There's some 3-gun stuff that goes on around here, so it would certainly be the second item that I need for a 3-gun. Still need a shotgun, and I think I know which one I'm going to get with that. Benelli Supernova, I think, is in my future, very near future, but that's a whole separate issue. So that's what I would use it for. I'd use it to practice with at the range, and also probably do some 3-gun stuff with it. I don't own it, and that's the other thing. You can't own an AR-15. And you're taking us on our word that we don't, but I'd like to show you the current firearms that I do own, and right now there are 3. Yes, Remora, good stuff. Springfield XDM in 45, 4.5 inch. Occasionally carry this. It's a little big for daily EDC, but you know, I can. Got the light on it. This is pretty much what I'm keeping for home defense these days. My EDC, which is a Springfield lightweight micro compact. Yes, 45, 6 shots, 6+1, and actually had a Springfield XDS and had that for about a month or two. Put a few hundred rounds through it. Didn't like it. Got this instead. I can tell you, this is so much better, and it's 1.8 pounds. It's not heavy. So, and yes, I have this in a different holster as well. As for rifle, went old school. K31. Got an excellent deal on this, and it is awesome to shoot. So, no AR-15. That was one of the stipulations. There's what you have. So, could I use an AR-15? Absolutely. What are you doing to prep? Well, I'm not a prepper. That's never been my thing. And then I also have some issues with a lot of the stuff that people buy food-wise for prepping. And it's not that I'm some kind of weird foodie or anything like this, but I do give a shit about what's in my food. And when you look at the list of stuff that goes into that food, maybe you survive, but you keep eating that crap and you're not. I'm very much into eating more natural stuff. Then that doesn't mean I'm a vegetarian or a vegan. I eat meat. It's just that it's typically by a little bit better grade of stuff. It's A, it tastes better, and B, you know, there's no weird antibiotics and crap that big agro uses to pump up weights and stuff. It's more the organic stuff, and you eat a little bit of that, and trust me, you'll understand why that it is so much better and why it's worth paying a little bit. What would I do though, as far as the first things I would do for prep? Number one is have some water, which we do have some. Have like a water filtration kit, which I really should buy as far as like a portable one. And the other thing I really need to do, which I've been saying since we had the blackout here in, God, I gotta think back, what was that, 04, 05? Is I really need a generator, and to have, you know, 20 gallons, rotate through it, but have, like, you know, 20 gallons of gas or so around, so that if something does happen, we can actually run items. In our family, if it's in the summer, having air conditioning is actually pretty critical, as my fiance has MS, and if she gets too hot, it gets really bad for her. She has lots of problems, and it causes a lot of other issues. So these are things that are important that I really do need to address. Lastly, what do I do to support the Second Amendment? Well, I talk about it with people. Now, I have 2 jobs that put me in the middle of a lot of liberals. I mean, they're not just liberal. I mean, they get on their knees and, you know, for Obama Nation and every other liberal cause. 2 things I do. One, I work in social media, which is a very liberal group of people. And I also do auto reviews and work with a lot of journalists. In fact, this video is on my second channel, which I already checked with ebomey and he said was good, and I'll link to my other channel, my main channel, which is Strip Radio. It has 128 videos, mostly car review stuff, but for business purposes I have to keep these two things separate, so I'll link to that. And this is my second channel, which I've used for video responses to Pete at the Armory channel for some cooking video, and over at Rise Arms done a couple video responses for him as well. So anyways, back to the main point. What do I do to support the Second Amendment? Is number one, when the stuff comes up about assault weapon, assault weapons ban, and we all know that that's a misnomer, the term assault weapon, is explain or at least have the conversation of how it never helped before, and since it went away, crime has actually gone down. Two, you keep all the people who are legally buying weapons from having them, and criminals who, I believe, according to a cop friend of mine, 94% of criminals don't buy their weapons legally, so it doesn't help. And number three, you get down to the part and you explain to journalists about the placement of commas and what the commas mean in the English language. A well-armed militia, comma, that means stop, next thought. The right to keep and bear arms, comma, as we keep going on in the Second Amendment. And you're never going to change their mind, but at least if they think about it and it processes in the back of their mind, someone's made them think for a few minutes, and it's, you wear them down a little bit, maybe you change one person's mind, but at least you're out there and you're explaining to them, to those that'll listen anyways, that being open-minded doesn't mean that you agree with them and everyone else is wrong. Being open-minded, being an open-minded liberal, means that you have to be open to other ways of people thinking, that your way is not right and everyone else is wrong, because that's not open-minded. That's the antithesis of open-minded, but they still don't get that. Anyways, so that's what I do. And also in social media, there's obviously a number of people on in Twitter and Facebook who are well involved in this community, and I will repost or retweet things, and I'm a little careful on that stuff just because I have, for professional reasons, I have to pick and choose my spots, and yes, that does suck, but that's reality. And it just is what it is. Speaking of reality, yes, I am voting. Yes, I have voted in pretty much I've voted every 2 years in the major elections, and even the local stuff I've been very active for. I will be voting again, and I am, somewhat reluctantly, voting for Romney. I know there's a whole group of people who say vote for Gary Johnson, and I pretty much vote for the Libertarian candidate every year on general principle. But this is a year where every single vote will count, and any vote that is not for Romney is a vote for Obama. And this is one of the rare occasions where I'm taking my principles of being a libertarian, putting it to the side, and voting for the Republican candidate. Why? Do I trust Romney? Not so much. Is he the lesser of two evils? Yes, and there's the whole, well, then you're violating your principles. I'll tell you what. There is the theoretical, and then there's reality. As a old person I once knew said, theory and theory is very different than theory and reality. So, theory and theory, yes, I would go for Romney. Theory and reality, theory and theory, I would vote for Gary Johnson. Theory and reality is you vote for Romney because if he gets in, you have a better shot of things not changing from our perspective with the Second Amendment. Now, side note, Republicans control one of the houses and are pretty close in the second, right? If that stays the same in this next term of elections and a weapons ban gets passed, everyone needs to cancel their membership to the NRA and never contribute another dime to the NRA ILA. Why? They have so much money for influencing politicians that if they don't hold off, they're not doing their job. Just saying. So, longer than I intended to go. But here's my entry. Good luck to everyone else. And thanks to ebomey, thanks to NYhalfhssprepper, and thanks to everyone else who's contributed to this giveaway.